Ambazonia stands strong. We're marching forward where we belong.
We stand like valiant soldiers to lay our lives to ensure that their blood won't spill in vain.
Ambazonia will shine.
The mothers who scream for their daughters, the fathers who are on shore where their kids are detained, wouldn't mourn in vain.
Will be sent. Shake, shake no day until the very end. The cruise boys sing.
I told you before. When the time comes, they will come to us.
Where they vex, your whispers they jam. Dreams scatter like ashes for night where they cold. Hope break scatter like branch for storm. The bad people hand innocent they suffer. Oh mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pay. Tears they fall like a river, like sister.
I know my national security advisor always reminds me I shouldn't utter certain words, but I say them so don't forget.
Dr. Cho, Sissiko and others, them train them but them no feedback. Them voice now like thunder, where they under dark clouds. World where the town face go
because I know
they
are trying to take me down.
They suffer.
But even if I'm not around, don't forget.
Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like a river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. For this talk where they all lose. Inside the shadow, small fire they grow. Freedom they grow.
Don't forget the crimes they committed against us. We, this generation, will defeat Cameroon in battle.
Ambazonia go stand gidigba. You no go fear night. Oh, mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like the river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. But it's all good they all lose. Mama Ambazonia, stars they touch story. Of courage we know they shame.
They said they could fight. They said they had trained bees. They had United States provided tanks and warplanes. We want them to fight. We invite them to fight. We invite them to fight. Where them they
conspiracy we go in. Our great boys do the world for the ground. Wanna fly there.
Vous souffrez comme ça là. Que d'aller rester là, mieux child.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, as senators and representatives, we went to jail because it was impossible to sit still while the obscenity of the apartheid system was being imposed on our people. It would have been immoral to keep quiet while a racist tyranny sought to reduce an entire people into a status worse than that of the beasts of the forest. It would have been an act of treason against the people and against our conscience to allow fear and the drive towards self-preservation to dominate our behavior, obliging us to absent ourselves from the struggle for democracy and human rights, not only in our country, but throughout the world. We could not have made an acquaintance through literature with human giants such as George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson, and not been moved to act as they were moved to act. We could not have heard of and admired John Brown, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Martin Luther King Jr., and others. We could not have heard of these and not be moved to act as they were moved to act. We could not have known of your Declaration of Independence and not elected to join in the struggle to guarantee the people's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are grateful to you all that you persisted in your resolve to have us and other political prisoners released from jail. You have given us the gift and privilege to rejoin our people, yourselves, and the rest of the international community.
Fellow Ambazonians, greetings to you all, the defendants of our homeland. Greetings to you all, the liberators of our homeland. Greetings to you all, lovers of freedom and human dignity. Most of you are already aware that on Friday, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI of the United States, arrested leaders of Ambazonia Defense Forces in the United States. What most of you need to know is that this is something we knew, we were prepared for. Benedictwa was prepared for it. Pascal Kiki was prepared for it. This was coming. So it's not new. The question you have to ask yourself is, why is it that they have not gone after Samuel Sako? Why is it that the FBI has not gone after Samuel Sako Ikome? Why is it that the FBI has not gone after Chris Anu? Why is it that they've not gone after Marianata? Why is it that they've not gone after Tita? Why is it that Samuel Sako, they were able to raise $2 million, which was a public campaign. They made promises of using the money to buy weapons. They paraded forces such as the Red Dragons, the ARF, that these are forces under their control. Why is it that the FBI has not gone after Samuel Sako Ikome? Why is it that they've not gone after Chris Anu, who on numerous occasions claimed to be the commander-in-chief of the Red Dragons? And Samuel Sako Ikome claimed to be the commander-in-chief of the Ambazonian Restoration Forces. So why is it that only the leadership of Ambazonia Defense Forces? Have you asked yourself that question? Have you asked yourself? Because we know most of you just get carried away. The reason is Benedictwa is a leader. He launched the armed resistance campaign and claimed responsibility for being the defense chairman of Ambazonia Defense Forces, for being the defense chairman of the force that started self-defense and invoked the right of self-defense for the Ambazonian people. And he did it in the soil of the United States. He took responsibility and put himself on the line so that there is a clear chain of command, a recognized, visible leadership, so that Ambazonian forces across the territory fighting for your freedom and liberation will not be tagged as terrorists. This is what you need to understand. This is what is called liberation leadership. There must be a recognized leadership, a recognized authority, a clear command and control structure, not fake people hiding under fake titles, claiming responsibility for forces they do not own. The government of the United States understands that it is Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba who invoked the right of self-defense of the Ambazonian people and commissioned Ambazonian forces to start the process of armed resistance and the liberation of Ambazonia as an act of self-preservation, as an act of self-defense, for the salvation of the humanity of the Ambazonian people. This is what leadership is about. Dr. Cho projected himself, took over responsibility of actions that are being carried out by Ambazonian forces, by Ambazonian Defense Forces. Benedictwa took responsibility for launching attacks against the Cameroon occupation government, against the Cameroon occupation military. He took responsibility so that the international community will know who is in charge of the fighting. This is why the FBI went after them. They also went after Nelson Mandela. This is the price liberators and liberation leaders pay for going after, for giving their lives to right the wrongs that have been committed, to stop genocide, to fight against injustice and human rights abuse, to fight against repression and oppression, to stop illegal exploitation of our people and their natural resources. Benedictwa is the chairman of Ambazonia Defense Forces War Council. He's an international figure. Mandela went to jail for his people. Kwa has been arrested. It's an international conspiracy. It's a decapitation strategy to weaken the only nationalist movement. That's why they are not after Sako. That's why they are not after Marianata. That's why they are not after Chris Anu. That's why they are not after Tita. That's why they are not after Yerima. These are inconsequential leaders when it comes to the resistance and the armed struggle. These are inconsequential people. They are political actors, but they are inconsequential in the overall strategy for the liberation of Ambazonia. These are impostors. That's why they are not after them. They are going after people that have power, people that have direct impact, people that have consequentiality. This is why. This is all part of the game. This is why they went after Sisiku Ayoktabe Julius, because he's a consequential leader. This is why they went after Mancho BBC, because he's a consequential leader. This is why they went after Penn Terence, because Penn is a consequential leader. This is why they went after Weber, because he's a consequential leader. This is why they went after Tassan Wilfred, because he's a consequential leader. This is why they went after Pam Fongalanfo, because he's a consequential leader. They are going after your consequential leaders in order to frighten you. to accept tyranny as your fate, to accept genocide as your fate, to accept the exploitation of your natural resources in order to render you hopeless and lifeless and futureless, in order for you to accept those things as your fate. They are going after the key actors that can challenge Cameroon's occupation of Ambazonia. This is part of the international game, because it's part of these multinational companies that are benefiting from Ambazonian's natural resources that guarantees Paul Biya capacity to remain in power, for them to continuously gain access, free access to those natural resources. It's a transaction between the multinational companies and the colonialist. It's a transaction. It's a transaction. They guarantee their longevity in power. That's why even the elections, even when the United Nations has said the elections in Cameroon is a non-starter, that's why even when they have not seen Mr. Biya in public for the last 4 months, someone running as a presidential candidate cannot put his own face outside, cannot tell the people why he's running. The international community will still consider that as an election. Even when all indicators, including International Crisis Group, they have said, listen, it doesn't matter what happens, the henchmen and henchwomen will declare Mr. Biya as the president. The home of Benediqua was raided by the FBI on the same morning, September 24th, 2024, around 6 a.m. The home of Benediqua was raided by the FBI. The home of Pascal Kiki was raided by the FBI exactly 1 year ago. Within 3 hours later, Norwegian time, Kripos of Norway raided the home of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba in Oslo, Norway. Is there a connection? Yes. Same day, a difference of within 3 hours, Kwa and Kiki live in the United States. Dr. Cho is in Norway. Why the FBI of the US raided the homes of Kwa and Kiki, Kripos of Norway raided the home of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba on the same day, within the space of 3 hours. On the 24th of September 2024, Benediqua was not arrested. They went through prolonged interrogations. We knew this was coming. This is predictable based on what is happening on the ground. Pay attention. Last year, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba called for a lockdown. The Ambazonia Governing Council called for a lockdown. Samuel Sako Ikome came out and debunked the lockdown. Chris Anu came out, debunked the lockdown. Mark Barretta came out, debunked the lockdown. They fought against the lockdown. The lockdown turned out to be the most successful lockdown in Ambazonia. All Ambazonian forces across the 13 states supported the lockdown, including forces that are not ADF. All sister forces from the state of Manu to Meme to Fako to Undian to Kupe across the territory enforced the lockdown and rallied around and supported Dr. Cho's call for the lockdown. The successful 2 weeks lockdown shattered Cameroon's image internationally. 2 weeks later, Dr. Cho was arrested. 2 weeks later, Benedict's home was invaded. Kiki's home was invaded. Is it a coincidence? That is consequentiality, because they are now in charge. Forces have rallied around the nationalist movement. Once La République realizes that now the forces on the ground have rallied around the nationalist movement, and negotiation will be very tough, which means Ambazonians' independence will be the only thing that will be on the negotiation table. They triggered France, triggered the United States, and they started this international conspiracy to decapitate that leadership that now has support across the board in all the 13 states. They launched the strategy of decapitation to make sure that the leadership crumbles and only their puppets will be left. This is the game you have to understand. This is not about ADF. This is about your life. This is not about egg of sea. This is about what you are fighting for, who can defend you, and who has consequentiality. Because in diplomacy, consequentiality is the currency of negotiation. Ayok Tabe is a consequential actor based on what he did for the Ambazonian people, the courage he demonstrated, the vision he provided, the clarity he provided, the leadership he provided, the authority he provided, the audacity he provided, the charisma he displayed by rallying Ambazonians on the 22nd of September 2017 and the 1st of October 2017. That made him a consequential actor. And 3 months later, Ayok Tabe Julius, Siseko Ayok Tabe Julius, and his entire cabinet were arrested. Cameroon paid $50 million. According to international journalist Larry Ayon, the Cameroon government paid Nigerian Secret Intelligence Services, DHS, and all other security agencies within Nigeria. They paid them $50 million for that operation. That was a decapitation strategy to weaken the resolve on the Ambazonian people. This is not about Siseko. It's about your future. For the Cameroon government to make sure it decapitates your most consequential and nationalist leaders, so that you only have puppets that will be sitting on the negotiation table. Puppets they created, puppets they funded. Why has the FBI not gone after Samuel Sako? Once you can answer that question, now you now know the game that Cameroon is using the international system to play. We have always turned this around. They thought they were going to decapitate the Ambazonian Governing Council. We turn it around, which is what leadership is. We are strategists. We turn crisis into opportunities, and we turn problems into successes. What do you think is a problem? It's a victory for Ambazonia. The arrest of Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba turned the whole diplomatic system to a focal point where now they have no other choice. We have nothing to do with diplomacy. No decision can be made without Dr. Cho, because their aim was to make sure they put Dr. Cho in prison to come and talk to the AGOFC, to discuss with the vice president. They pushed the Ambazonia Governing Council to call for elections without Dr. Cho. We turned it around and gave sole responsibility and authority and leadership back to the same person they wanted to separate from the leadership. These are very complex international maneuvers. And you must have complex intelligence. You must be a tactician, a strategist. You must have a complex understanding of how these predatory systems function and how they work for you to succeed. The arrest of Benedict Kwa and Pascal Kiki has internationalizes the Ambazonian liberation struggle more than any other time. The arrest of Siseko Ayoktabe Julius internationalizes Ambazonian struggle more than any other action, more than any protest, more than any write-up, more than any podcast. The arrest of Mancho BBC inflamed the situation. The arrest of Dr. Cho inflamed the situation. Has the liberation stopped or slowed down after the arrest of Dr. Cho? Have you asked yourself? Ambazonian forces are stronger, they are more powerful, they are more lethal, they are carrying out more sophisticated and daring operation more than even when Dr. Cho was around here. Look at how far we've come over the last 12 months. Look at the kinds of actions and operations. Look at the cost we have imposed on the occupier. These things are opportunities. The more Cameroon, instead of focusing on resolving this crisis, this conflict, the more they focus on targeting Ambazonian activists and Ambazonian nationalist leaders, the more they are inflaming the situation. These are consequential actors that have a grassroots support. You go after their leader, you are worsening the conflict. You are inflaming the conflict. You are prolonging the conflict. And therefore, Cameroon is going to pay a heavier price than any other time. These are leaders that have built forces and inspired a generation of liberators, of rebels. By the way, a rebel is a positive word, not a negative word. These are consequential leaders. That story, the arrest of Benedict Kwa and Pascal Kiki, has ignited a legal battle within the United States. I also understand most of you say, oh, you guys claim that you are doing diplomacy, you are doing lobbying with the Trump administration. So how can the FBI arrest Benedict Kwa and Pascal Kiki? We've told you, a liberation struggle is not a walk in the park. These are complex systems. Okay? Remember, this thing started under the Biden administration. And some of those people, whether they were bribed or corrupted or influenced by underground agents, as we call them, the economic hitmen. Those who probably guarantee their positions. Okay, there's a lot at stake here, so it's not a straight line. It's not that. It's not black and white. It started since the Biden administration. A lot of those people are still in their various position and keeping the same portfolios. Over the last 72 hours, look at the kinds of action Ambazonian forces have carried out on the ground, especially in the southern zone, where the colonial elites and colonial CPDM beneficiaries of the occupation claim that normalcy has returned. Look at what these forces have been able to demonstrate and do within Fako, within Meme. What do you think that has done to the image of the occupier? What do you think the Cameroon occupation forces, for 8 of their most superior forces, soldiers to be killed like that within 2 seconds? 8 bees. What do you think that does to their psychology and to their own image? You see now why they would trigger such events in order to distract you, in order to divert attention, because now you're no longer talking about the gendarmerie assistant commander that was captured in Victoria. You're no longer talking about that. That's not what's on the headlines of Cameroon media outlets. The killings of 8 bees through that IED attack and ambush is no longer what you are talking about. They have distracted you to be talking about Pascal, Kiki, and Benedictwa. You see, this is a psychological game they are playing with you. They want you to forget about your victories, to focus on distractions. They want you to forget about the cost we are imposing on the occupier and the ghost town we are enforcing. Ambazonian forces are enforcing. They want you to forget about that and be talking about things that does not really matter that much. The war is on the ground. We are going to impose a higher cost on the occupation and the occupier. Their incentive to be in Ambazonia is because you're wealthy. If Ambazonia was as poor as the northern regions of Cameroon, where there is no economic viability, there are no natural resources, the soil is not that good, it's a desert, do you think Cameroon would have occupied Ambazonia? I'm just asking you because I want you to start thinking. Do you think if Ambazonia was a desert, nothing grows, no food, no natural resources, do you think Cameroon would have occupied Ambazonia? Now you know the answer. According to Bello Buba Maigari, without Ambazonia, Cameroon cannot survive. Ambazonia is the economic engine that sustains the state of Cameroon. That's why they want to murder all your people, jail your leaders, so that you remain and live under servitude, so that you have no hope. Your children have to go to Yaoundé and fuck old men, 90-year-old old men, and be sodomized, so that your parents, after 40 years, 30 years, 50 years of working under the colonial system, they'll go sleep the doorsteps of colonial offices to beg for their own pension. And when you have men and women that are standing up to stop the injustices, to stop the dehumanization, to give you back your educational system, give you back your legal system, restore your economic dignity and your potential to prosper, give you a transparent and accountable government, which you have total control, give you your parliament back and rebuild your institutions, and reindustrialization of Ambazonia. Don't let them deceive you. Don't let them distract you. Today is the beginning of the ghost town. Today is the beginning of the lockdown. We have prevailed. Cameroon is afraid to commit to an international negotiation. No threats, no harassment, no harassment, no incarceration will quench the thirst, the quest, the yearning for freedom. These are the same reasons the Americans rose up to fight for their own independence. These are the same reasons the Brits fought against fascism. The Norwegians fought against fascism. If fascism and tyranny were so good, why did the Americans not remain under British occupation? Why did the Brits not remain under Hitler's occupation? Why did the Norwegians not remain under Hitler's occupation? What we are doing is no different. We are following their footsteps. We have been inspired by them because there is something much more better. When we topple these systems of oppression and occupation and rise to a higher consciousness where we can provide a higher quality of life for our people, build better institutions and better systems of governance under the rule of international law. Not dealing with rogue states and people that are engineers of instability, chaos, and poverty. Stand up, Ambazonian. Defend your rights and your freedom. The occupier and all its agents must be chased out of Ambazonia. All money place day. Thank you, ACN.
Rise to the day, shake, no day. Amazonia stands strong, we're marching forward, where we belong.
We stand like valiant soldiers to lay our lives to ensure that their blood was spilled in vain.
Amazonia will shine.
The mothers who scream for their daughters, the fathers who are on the shore where their kids are detained, wouldn't mourn in vain.
Will be sent, shake no day until the very end. The cruise boys sing.
I told you before. When the time comes, they will come to us.
Where they vex, your whispers they jam. Dreams scatter like ashes for night where they cold. Hope break scatter like branch for storm. Now bad people and innocent they suffer. Oh mama Ambazonia, your heart they pay. Tears they fall
And I remind
like
you,
a river, like sister.
I know my national security advisor always reminds me I shouldn't utter certain words, but I say them so you don't forget.
Dr. Cho, Sissiko and others, them train them but them no fit bow. Them voice now like thunder, where they under dark clouds. World where the town face go,
Because I know
they
are trying to take me down.
They suffer.
But even if I'm not around, don't forget.
Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like a river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them pride go they echo. For they talk where they all know. Inside the shadows,
You don't owe them child
small
support.
fire they grow. Freedom they grow.
Don't forget the crimes they committed against us.
For every
We, this generation, will defeat Cameroon in battle.
Ambazonia go stand gidigba. You no go fear night. Oh, mama, Ambazonia, your heart they pain. Tears they fall like the river, like the sky they cry again. IDPs and refugees they walk out. Widows they hold space where they empty, them cry go they echo. For this hug go they hollow. Mama Ambazonia, scars they touch the courage we know they shame.
They said they could fight.
They
said they had trained bees. They had United States provided tanks and warplanes. We want them to fight. We invite them to fight. We invite them to fight. Where them they
conspiracy, we go in. Our great boys do the work for the ground. Wanna fly there.
Welcome to ACN.